Hi, Trish. Welcome to the Support Squad podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and chat with your community and just support them because, oh my gosh, you guys are wonderful.
Yes, the VAs in my community, they serve so much, they do so much, and I just love that you're here because I know you're all about confidence and aligned visibility, and this is the message that the folks in my community need to hear. So I'm just thrilled that you're here. And to start And to start, I would love if you could kind of just introduce yourself, like let me know your story, your background, and how it led you to what you're doing today.
I would love that. And I have to tell you, like, I really am just so excited, so thrilled to be talking to you and your community because I so deeply resonate with that desire to be of service, right? To feel more comfortable behind the scenes, right? Like we're so much more comfortable lifting someone else up than we are getting out in front of the camera. And that was kind of like, whew, that was a piece of the entrepreneurial journey that I was like, oh, I signed up for that. That was like somewhere in the fine print of, oh, need to be an entrepreneur, got to get visible. And
Totally.
so that was like the biggest hurdle that I had to cross. I ran a bunch of different races trying to cross that hurdle too. So I started off as a celebrity stylist, and it was like my dream to work with celebrities on the red carpet. I was working with women like Ariana Grande
Oh my
and Kerry
gosh.
Washington. I was supporting them, with amazing teams of people behind the scenes of their music videos. And I got there, right? I got to the peak, and I was like, what is this actually? Right? Like you get to the pinnacle of what it is that you want to do, and you look around and you're like, something's missing.
Mm,
And so I didn't know it right away, but my whole life I had been using style as a tool to show up, feel more comfortable, feel more confident, to start to express myself in a way that felt safe because I didn't trust my voice. I didn't love the way my body looked. Like I didn't feel like I was doing the things the right way. So being able to use style in this way was so beautiful for me. I turned it into my career. And so I left celebrity styling behind and I started working with entrepreneurs. I started working with people who just weren't able to kind of grasp like the visual storytelling component because that's what we're doing. We're creating a story not only for ourselves but for our clients as well. We're stepping into this version of ourselves that we want to be more confidently. And so from there I developed tools that, gosh, I needed myself. I was showing up, I was doing all the things, I had all of the strategies in place. But if your energy is not aligned with the way that you're showing up, right? Like there's that underlying tone of, whew, do I even feel ready to have people looking at me? Do I even feel worthy of having like a six-figure launch, a six-figure year, whatever it is? And I that painted a lot of the first years of my entrepreneurial journey. So now I help women with style and I help them with their confidence to embody the message that they really want to share because I have been there too.
yeah. Oh my gosh, what an amazing story. I love that you hit this pinnacle in your career, but you still, thought about, is this truly aligned with what I am? I think it's so important as women and entrepreneurs to continually like look deep inside ourselves and ask, like, even if after we've achieved the thing that we thought we wanted, to ask, like, is this aligned with who I am? I just absolutely love that. And you touched on exactly the thing that I see show up for so many of the women in my community is that we step into this role as virtual assistants. And even the word assistant to a lot of us means like we're the sidekick, we're the background. But one thing that, I constantly am talking about in my communities is how important it is for us to show up and how that will take us to places in our business that we maybe never even dreamed of. And I would love for you to speak to that a little bit more. How is virtual assistants, why should virtual assistants step out of the spotlight or step out of the sidelines a little bit more and into that spotlight? Because I totally agree with that message.
Absolutely. So I think I think whether we want to or not, right, we have to own that we are a personal brand.
Right.
Like you are providing a service differently than another virtual assistant, right? And it is about your niche, but it's also about your personality and
Mhm.
your lifestyle. How do you want to serve? Who are you? Like, how do you want to work? If these things don't align with your client, right, the person that you're attracting, if we're not setting clear boundaries on how we want to be seen, the
Mhm.
specialty we want to have, or move in the direction that's going to make us happy, we're going to start to resent our clients. And I felt that way too, right? I was doing all of the styling, all of the people. I was helping moms find the perfect jeans. I was helping men with their work wardrobes. I was helping entrepreneurs. And it wasn't until I got real clear, like you said, I refocused in my alignment. And it's okay, right? It's
Mhm.
okay to take a step back, to kind of pause and look around and say, oh, what is not working for me here? To break
Yeah.
it down and build it back up so that you can ask for what you want. And I think that's the point of getting out of the sidelines. Like you're no longer just a willing participant in what someone wants. You
Yes.
now are asking for the thing that you want and desire. And now you're going to start receiving it, which is
Mhm.
really cool. So it doesn't have to look the same for everybody, but for you to start putting your content, the categories that you want to be sharing about your life and your business, you're going to start magnetizing the types of opportunities you want to align your business with.
I love that. You're echoing so many of the values and messages that I've been not only sharing with my group, but also hearing from a lot of guest experts that we've had recently. And that we get so focused on our clients and like our ideal client. Like I just recently did a podcast about like re-examining the ideal client. It's not about, what blogs they read and like all of that. It's really comes down to us and what the kinds of people we want to work with. And you're so right. When we can own that a little bit more and step out in a more aligned way, it's going to attract those kinds of people instead of like putting us into some box because of this client that we think we want. So I just love stepping into it from a more empowered place. Love
Mm.
that message and everything you shared.
But
So
I love exactly how you put it. I think like re-examining this ICA method is
Mhm.
so crucial because I think it's a little bit old school, right?
Yes.
That's how like like our peers, like our corporate America, like people who came before us, that's how they were able to kind of like reconfigure this like corporate marketing structure into entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
But social media, like being able to show up and be seen, empowers us to do it our own way. And so it's just about trusting ourselves enough to know, like, oh, yeah, I actually already do know my ideal client. Like, I don't need to make up all of these crazy, weird stats.
Right.
Like, I don't have to find all of the magazines and places she's into because
Yes.
probably we're into the same thing.
Absolutely. Yes, I totally, totally agree with that. I love that. It does feel old school. I even used to have like in my freebies an ideal client workbook and I was just going through it and I'm like, what? Like how does this serve me at
Me
all?
too. Me
Yeah.
too.
It's just
I think that's what felt so funny. Like for me,
Mhm.
at least showing up at the beginning, actually, I remember when I was getting started and I was taking like all of the courses, like all of them.
Mhm.
And they were all echoing the ICA, right? And I was like, but I don't know where
Right.
my ICA is buying her magazine or where she's going to conferences. I was like, I know where I'm going to conferences. And what had happened is my ICA wasn't familiar to me because actually she was the wrong person.
Mm.
And so that's something fun to look at as well. Like maybe it's not maybe it's not the ICA format, right? That's like incorrect, but maybe it's the way that we were forcing ourselves into a specific box. Like I was
Absolutely.
playing the rules of a game that I didn't want to be playing. And so,
Right.
yeah.
I totally agree. So I know that, with style and with fashion, and even you right now looking at you, you're in this beautiful space, like all pink and pretty. And I love it. And I know like a lot of the virtual assistants that I work with, they struggle with when they get on these very visual platforms like Instagram or coming onto video or things like that. It's like, how do they communicate their services and their brands in a way where they're not having to use so many words and can show up more in a visual way? I know that's something that you're so genius with.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that it's so much fun when you allow yourself to just play with different mediums, right?
Yeah.
Because your copy, the words that you say are important, but you have to get the person to stop first, right?
Hmm.
And we do that by visually attracting them and relating to them in some way. So I have a pink wall behind me. You can't see it, but if you come hang out with me on Instagram, you'll see it everywhere. It's
Right.
my background. But that's something that stops people too, right? Like, oh, I don't have a dedicated office space, or my house doesn't really look clean. Like, how am I going to film? Or, I don't know what to wear, or my wardrobe, it just doesn't feel like me anymore. Like, I don't look like myself, right? Maybe quarantine hit us a little bit differently. So we have all of these little obstacles that we're putting in front of ourselves. And it's like we're arguing for these limitations. So there's different ways that we can show up and support ourselves. So if you want to get more visual, if you want to tell a visual story, you can create a little backdrop in a corner of your home, right? And set up your camera there. Every time it's consistent. That's you. They recognize you with that specific color, that specific background, whatever it is. But the really important thing about showing up and relating with your visual storytelling is actually creating stories that your people identify with, things that align with you. So it's like creating your content categories, right? When you're batching your content, we're all familiar with this concept. Like, what are the things that we want to talk about? But then we take it a step further and we say, what do we want to be known for? And then where do we want to point people to? And
Mhm.
so for me, I have categories around style. I have categories around body confidence. I have categories that talk about um, like branding specifically,
Mhm.
right? But if you're a health coach, maybe it's mindfulness, maybe it's nutrition, maybe it's a busy schedule, right? So we want to paint a picture. Maybe you work specifically with moms. So can we get your
Mhm.
kids in a couple shots? Like can we stage something in your photos that feels relatable that people can identify with, like, oh my God, I also drink a green juice in the morning. That's my favorite thing. Or like, oh my God, my kids are doing the same thing the other day. So it's like we want them to slow the scroll because they can relate to what we're going through and they want to get to where we are. So we're meeting them where they are and then we're taking them on this journey to where they want to be.
Yeah. I absolutely love that. And I know that what you touched on about, not having the space or not feeling like your house is right and all of that, I know that's something that a lot of virtual assistants um struggle with. They're like, I just don't feel like I'm who am I to like be this brand or whatever. But I love how you talk about just choosing a corner and being consistent, because a lot of time we see influencers and they're always in like these beautiful locations, but as service providers, really consistency can go a long way with us, as long as it's like aligned and everything, and then showing those, like you said, those other little snippets of what makes our personal brand relatable to other people. I just, yeah, I totally agree with that. So thanks for illuminating that for us.
Yeah, and I just want to quickly say too, like I have a friend of mine, she's a copywriter and she's done this really beautifully. So if anybody wants to see this in action, check her out. Her name is Zafira Rajan. It's Zafira.Rajan. You can find her on Instagram, but she is like very niche
Mhm.
specific, excuse me, for what she does. So she's a copywriter and she works specifically with people in wellness. And so you
Mm.
can be the same, right? You can be a VA that works specifically with people in wellness, specifically with coaches, specifically with insert your category here. And then
Mhm.
you create content that also attracts that client, right? And so she has
Mhm.
really fun stuff. She calls her day spa the copy spa, right? Like the
Oh, I
copy
love
day
that.
spa. And so
Yeah.
then they do content that day. So there's fun ways that you can use your words with your visuals to tell this story.
Totally. Yes, I so love that. Yeah, a lot of times we think like we just have to like over explain everything. We have to use so many words, but we can do so much with our visuals and just ourselves. So, yeah, I hope you guys can, yeah, take that message and start to think about what you could set up in your home, or just a way that you can show up consistently that feels really aligned with you and gives you that confidence to show up a little bit more. So, Trish, thank you so much for sharing that. And I am just thrilled because I know one of the most powerful things you work with women on is confidence. And you'll be in the membership this month, delivering your training, The Confidence Cure. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I'm so excited to be sharing it with you. It's really about stepping into who you are, showing up, really feeling like the words that you're saying, the way that you are being seen is consistent with the way that you want to have people see you. It's
Mhm.
about stepping into who you are authentically without worrying if anybody else is, saying or thinking something that's opposite, right? You don't have to worry about comparison or your own self-judgment anymore. So that's such a gift.
Oh, I love that. I'm so excited for that. I know that, especially some of you that are really starting to dive more into a personal brand, expanding your offer suite, starting to create digital products, having that confidence is going to be just game changing for you. So I'm so excited to learn from you about that, Trish. And then one thing I always like to ask my guests is, what's one thing about you that's totally separate from your business that lights you up, that makes you happy, a hobby or something that you enjoy doing?
Oh, I love this. So fun. I love yoga. I love dancing. Like I just love to move my body, and it's just
Yes.
so much fun to just be creative in that way. And that's not necessarily something that I interweave into my business, but I'm trying to do more of that. So you might see that.
I love that. Yeah. And I love that you don't interweave it into your business, because sometimes I feel like we take these things we love and it's like, how can I monetize it? Or how can I like use this? And like, sometimes it's just about the joy, you know? Sometimes it's nice to keep a couple of things close, but I'd love to see you dancing on social media, or all of that. So thank you for sharing that. And then, of course, everyone's going to want to get in touch with you. So, where do we find you? How do we work with you? And how do we learn more about you?
Oh, thank you so much. I would love that. You can come hang out with me on Instagram, trishtaylor.co. That's also my website if you want to just hear a little bit more about my background. And please just reach out there. I'd be so excited to connect with you. You can also take my quiz, trishtaylor.co/quiz. You can figure out maybe where you are in this brand style journey and how we can support you to get to the next level of amplification and confidence.
I love that. You guys make sure to get in touch with her everywhere. All those links are going to be in the show notes at thesupportsquad.com. And I'm so excited for you guys to get in touch with Trish and learn more about her. So thank you so much. I'm just so grateful for this conversation today. I know it was so valuable to everyone that was listening. So thank you for sharing your wisdom and for spending this time with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm
Yeah.
excited to connect.
Yes. Awesome.